World. Nicholas Coriano back again to talk about investor relations in 2019. And today we want to talk about whether going public actually is followed by strong market support. So a lot of people talk about, I can't wait to take my company public. I'm going to be rich. A ton of people are going to buy my stock. If you ever see the videos of the New York Stock Exchange on Fox News or MSNBC or any of the business TV channels, you'll see the New York Stock Exchange, the busy floor, the bell ringing, and somebody that just freshly IPO'd, and they say how many shares traded that day. Well, that's a process that starts way before the IPO. So a blanket statement, no, market support does not follow an IPO just because you IPO. So just because you list your company on the New York Stock Exchange or the OTC markets or the NASDAQ doesn't mean that you're going to get a slew of shareholders. Thus, the purpose of investor relations. Investor relations is meant to tell your story to potential investors and current investors. That way they understand what to buy and when to buy it and why they're buying it. So again, the blanket answer is no, market support doesn't follow. And this is a very important fact because we have many clients that come to us that were veered the wrong way. They either went public too early or they went public without enough broker-dealer support or without investor support or without a big enough shareholder base to create the liquidity that they were seeking when they went public. So most people go public because they have the intuition or they have seen or they've been told that when you go public, it creates liquidity, which means you're a private company, you have 8 shareholders, your management, the people that founded the company, and maybe 1 or 2 outsiders. You bring on a few other 100 investors and you say, well, let's go public now. That way our investors can sell their stock. Well, it's a great notion, but they have to have someone to sell their stock to, which means you need market demand. And you need to build this market demand by telling your story. Usually you start telling your story to the broker dealers and institutional investors. Today, online marketing and investor relations has made it more possible to tell more people your story and more smaller investors your story. So when you go public, they can get into the stock or they do understand the company enough to buy the stock in the open market. But just going public alone is not enough. So I've seen this mistake happen plenty of times, especially in the OTC markets and the smaller trading markets with a lot of micro cap and nano cap public companies. These are companies valued underneath 500 million or 300 million market cap, depending on who's writing the definition. But what happens is they file the forms to go public. They do their audits. They're fully reporting. They're trading on the OTC markets. And they say, well, my stock's not moving. Why is my stock not moving? Well, because no one knows about it. Just because you filed the paperwork to go public and the OTC markets put you on the front of their page doesn't mean there's a ton of people waiting there to gobble up the stock. You need to get out in front and tell people the story. So market support follows attention. That is the point of this video, and hopefully you guys will take this lesson to heart if you guys are management of a public company. Market support follows attention. So the reason Facebook and Uber and some of these giants of industry, titans of industry had great IPOs is because they already had a lot of attention. When you look at a Facebook, for example, who already had 1 billion users, it's very easy to get a few shareholders when your users know you're going public, right? So they already had a wide audience. So your job, if your management of the company, is to hire a good investor relations team or in-house an investor relations team that allows you to put your story in front of not only just a lot of people, but the right people. So for example, when you're going public, especially I see this again on the OTC markets, the first thing you want to do is find the right broker dealers and institutional accredited investors to get in on the business with you of going public. And then after that, when you're talking about retail investors or telling your story to the public, you want to make sure you're targeting the right people. So if you're in the oil space, targeting oil blogs or making videos about oil stocks and how you guys fit into that sector may be beneficial. That's one way. Or industry publications or industry conferences in the oil space. These will get the right investors involved as opposed to just shooting it out to every retail investor out there, which is going to be capital intensive, right? And it may be like throwing crap at the wall, for lack of a better word, because you don't know what's going to stick, right? So you want to get it to the right people, but understand this. The whole point of this video is for you guys to understand that going public is not automatically followed by market support. You have to create market support. You have to create the demand for your company and your stock. And that goes by telling as many people as you can about what you're doing at your company, how you're doing it, how you plan on being profitable, and make sure that they believe the story, right? It has to be a believable story. It has to be told succinctly, and it has to be told to enough people to hopefully build market demand, which will build market support at some point or another. Um, of course, the earlier you do this in the process, the better. So we always advise public companies looking to go public, private companies looking to go public, to start their marketing efforts way in advance, not in regards to their IPO, but just to their company, so they can start telling the story to quote unquote potential investors, or even customers. We love customers that become investors, right? I'm an investor at Amazon. I'm also a customer. I'm an investor at Pepsi. I'm also a customer. So this helps. So telling your customer base your story by the time you end up going public, or telling the public your story by the time you end up going public, there's a base there that wants to buy the stock, which will create market demand, which in other words creates market support for your company when you are public. I hope this was helpful. If you guys do need help with investor relations, contact us at servitude.com. You can see us on my t-shirt. You see it in the screen behind. We've helped public and private companies navigate the financial capital markets, as well as marketing for both public and private company clients. So hit us up if you need help, and share this video if you think it'll help somebody. Have a great day, guys.